Hi friends, it's Miss Danielle from the Boise Public Library downtown, and today I want to talk to you about something. But I kind of forgot what I wanted to talk to you about for school age fun. What could it possibly be? What do you guys think? Is it Legos? Are we gonna talk about cooking? I have no idea what it could possibly be. Do you know what it could possibly be? Oh wait. We're going to talk about Pokemon today. Hello! And we're not just going to talk about Pokemon. We're going to talk about the Pokemon trading card game. This is something that you can do at home when you're not able to go out to the library and come see us or go to school necessarily or see all your friends. But if you've got a sibling around or you've got a grown-up in your house, maybe you can convince them with your puppy dog eyes to play Pokemon with you. So in this first video, I'm going to show you some really important tips and tricks about the different types of cards that you might have just laying around in your shoebox collections, because there are a lot of different kinds of cards in Pokemon, and it's important to know what all of them are and what they do and why you should put them in your deck. So stick around and let's play Pokemon.
The first card I want to talk about today is a Pokemon. And we should all have a bunch of these in our collections. Now, it's not just any Pokemon, but I want you to look very carefully at the top left corner, and it says the word basic. This means that this Pokemon can be put into play immediately. So when you draw it on your first turn, you will want to look for a Pokemon that says basic. If you don't have a basic Pokemon, then you can't start playing the game. And basic Pokemon are also the only Pokemon you could put on your bench. So you really want to make sure you've got enough of these Pokemon in your deck where just about every time you shuffle and pull 7 cards to start the game, you've got a basic Pokemon available to you. Now I want to show you a couple other parts on the card if you've never played before that are really important. First of all, up in the top corner next to basic, it says the name of the Pokemon. This is Bulbasaur. Over in the top right corner, you're going to see a couple pieces of information. This says HP 70, which means it has 70 hit points, or it can take 70 damage before being knocked out by your opponent. You can also see next to it there's a little leaf symbol. This means that it's a grass-type Pokemon. This is also something you can tell because the card itself is green, which means grass. Down here, you can see that it has 1 attack. Razor Leaf is the name of the attack. It does 30 damage, which is going to be over here in this area of the card. And then to the left of Razor Leaf, it shows you 2 different types of energy, these circles. One is a grass type, which we have seen at the top of the card. The other, however, is the white star energy, which is called colorless. This means that you can use any type of energy to take place for that colorless. So you could have a grass energy on it and a psychic energy. You could have a grass energy and a fairy energy. You could have a grass energy and a water energy, etc. You could have 2 grass energies. Basically what it means is that you just need 2 energies to use this attack. Down at the bottom of the card, there's a couple other important pieces of information. Right here it says weakness, and then it shows the fire type symbol ×2. What this means is that if you are facing a fire type Pokemon opponent, so maybe a Chimchar, a Charizard, a Rapidash, when they do the damage, say they have an attack that does 30, you actually multiply it by 2 because grass is weak to fire. The next word by it is resistance. Resistance, if there's resistance on the card, means that it will take less damage from a Pokemon attack. Bulbasaur, however, doesn't have a resistance to any type of Pokemon. Finally, if you look over here in the bottom right corner, you're going to find a retreat cost. So we've got the word retreat, and then it shows 2 colorless energy. What this means is that to take Bulbasaur out of play from the active position, you are going to have 2 energy attached to Bulbasaur and discard them from play before you can move Bulbasaur back to your bench. It can be any type of energy, as denoted by the colorless energy symbol, but you still need the 2 energy. Okay. That's it for basic Pokemon. Let's move on. The next Pokemon I want to talk about is a Stage 1. This is denoted by, in the upper left corner, the words Stage 1 followed by a picture of a Pokemon. The name of the Pokemon is right next to it, Cinccino. You can see that Cinccino evolves from Minccino because it's not a basic like we just saw, but is in fact a Stage 1 with a picture of its basic type right by it. Stage 1s also have more hit points than most basic Pokemon. You can see this over here on the right top corner, where it has HP 90. It can take 90 damage. Cinccino is different than the last card we saw, and that it is a different type of Pokemon. You can tell this because instead of the grass symbol we saw on Bulbasaur, there's the colorless symbol at the top, denoting that Cinccino is a normal type Pokemon. You can also see this because the card itself is gray. Cinccino has an ability and an attack. Now, Bulbasaur that we just saw did not have an ability. An ability is an action that you can take any time in the game before you attack. So, for example, Cinccino's ability says, Make Do. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. Abilities can be very helpful, and one of my favorite parts about abilities is that you can use an ability when your Pokemon is on the bench. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the active position. Finally, Cinccino also has an attack, Energy Assist. Now, as we saw before, it takes 1 energy, and normal type Pokemon, you can use any type of energy with them. There's a great type of Pokemon to put in a deck if you don't quite have enough of a single type of Pokemon to make an entire 60 card deck. You can add normal Pokemon to finish that out. Over here we see that it does 40 damage, and then when there is writing underneath the attack's name, this generally is an extra effect, or it might be a caution on the attack that you have to do. So this one says, attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. So it's actually in addition to the attack. Not only do you do damage, but you get to attach an energy card. Finally, if you look down at the bottom, we have, similar to Bulbasaur, we have a weakness. Cinccino is 2 times weak to fighting type Pokemon, as shown right here with the fighting type symbol. It also does not have any resistance, and its retreat cost is shown over here in the bottom right by costing 1 energy. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at Crobat. Crobat is a Stage 2 Pokemon. You can see this in the top left corner. Crobat evolves from Golbat. Here is where having a little bit of basic Pokemon knowledge is really helpful. If you know what Pokemon evolves from what, you're way more likely to be able to combine Pokemon in your deck more easily. But you don't need to have this information because the pictures in the top left corner also help. Believe me, I've taught plenty of adults with no Pokemon knowledge how to play. Now, if you look in the top right corner, you'll see that it has 130 hit points, and it has a psychic type, which is donated by the purple eye symbol. So we've got more hit points, it can take more damage, and then if you look down below, it's also got an ability like Cinccino, and an attack as well, which costs 1 colorless energy. Now, Crobat finally has what we've been talking about. So it's 2 times weak to electric attacks. And then if you go over, it also has a resistance. We've talked about resistance, but we haven't seen it on a Pokemon yet. Well, Crobat is a negative 20 hit points resistance to fighting. What this means is, for example, if a fighting type Pokemon's attack did 50 damage, you would subtract 20 from that 50, so it would only do 30 damage to Crobat. Finally, it does not have a retreat cost, which is very handy. All right. Let's look at another Pokemon. Now, Tapu Koko GX. I'm sure a lot of you are really excited about your GXs, your VX, your VMAX, your Tag Team, your EX Pokemon, and they are very incredible cards. For example, Tapu Koko GX is a basic Pokemon. Now, Tapu Koko GX has 170 hit points as a basic. This is compared to the Bulbasaur we saw earlier that was a basic that only had 70 hit points. So GX cards are very powerful. They do a lot of damage. They have generally more hit points than other cards. They have fantastic abilities, and they have very powerful attacks. They also have something special called a GX attack. These attacks can only be used once per game. So it's very important when you decide to play them that you think ahead about when using that attack might be the best for your play so that you can win the game. Finally, something else to consider when playing big cards like GXs, EXs, VMAX, etc., is that instead of only taking one prize card when they get knocked out, your opponent will take 2 prize cards for every GX or EX or V card that they knock out. And if they knock out one of your tag team Pokemon, they'll take 3 prize cards. So while GX are fantastic and powerful and do huge amounts of damage easily, like 130 right there in the sky-high claws, you also want to think ahead and make sure that you're not just playing them willy-nilly and so that you get knocked out in 2 turns and there's game over for you. Something to think about. Other cards that you might have in your deck and that are very important are trainer cards. This is an example of a supporter trainer card. You can tell this because it says supporter in the top right corner in red. It also says trainer up at the top, so you know what type of card it is. It'll say the actual name of the card right below that. This is Hop. Supporter cards, you can tell are supporters because they have a person in the art on the card. They'll also tell you what to do down in this text box here. So Hop allows you to draw 3 cards. This is very important because supporter and trainer cards in general help you play faster. They move the speed of gameplay so much more quickly, and they allow you to get a lot more cards in your hand so you have more options. Supporter cards, however, have one rule about them down at the bottom that says you may play only 1 supporter card during your turn. Another important rule about supporters is that you may not use a supporter on the very first turn in play. So when you start a game, you can't play a supporter card out of your hand. So you want to make sure you have lots of supporters in your deck to help your gameplay. Here is another type of card. So we see it's also a trainer. However, it does not have a person in the art. It has an item, and it says item in the top right corner. This card is called Rotom Bike, and it tells you in the text again what the card does. This allows you to draw 6 cards in your hand, and then your turn ends. Now, the awesome thing about item cards is that you may play any number of item cards during your turn. So you could play, if you have 10 item cards in your hand, you could play all 10 if you wanted. You could play 1, and they're very helpful at helping you evolve Pokemon, take damage counters off, draw more cards into your hand, search for Pokemon, search for energies, search for other supporters or trainer cards. So you definitely want to have a lot of these in your deck as well. Here we have another type of a trainer card. Trainer, item like we saw before, name of the card, Citrus Berry. But right down here, above where it tells you what the card does, it says Pokemon Tool. Attach a Pokemon tool to one of your Pokemon that doesn't already have a Pokemon tool attached. So this is a card that you don't necessarily play and discard immediately, but you attach to a Pokemon. Which means, say we want to attach it to Bulbasaur. What you would do was you would turn it like this so that you know it's attached to Bulbasaur. And it stays in play either for the entire game, if it is that kind of tool card, or this Citrus Berry, for example, stays in play until you use the effects of the card. So it says at the end of each turn, if the Pokemon this card is attached to has 3 or more damage counters on it, heal 30 damage from it and discard this card. So this is kind of a one and done Pokemon tool card, but there are oftentimes a lot of Pokemon tool cards that will stay and play the entire game until you discard the tool card. An important thing to note is that most Pokemon can only have one tool card attached to them. It's only in very special cases that it allows more than one tool attached to a certain Pokemon. So think about that before you attach a tool as well. Last but not least, something you'll probably want in your deck, and when I say probably, I mean definitely, are energy cards. Energy cards, you can tell, say energy in the top left corner. They show you the type of energy they are in the top right corner. This is a grass energy. It's also denoted right in the middle of the card. You can see the big leaf grass energy symbol as well as the green backdrop. Now, energy is incredibly important. I know for a lot of us that just collect cards or collected cards and are just getting into the game, you might have just thrown all of your energy cards into a box and been like, these aren't cool. I'm not trading these. I don't need these. But if you really want to learn how to play the Pokemon trading card game, you really need energy. Because as we saw, for example, when we were looking at Bulbasaur, each attack costs energy. And not just Bulbasaur, but our GX Pokemon, their attacks cost energy. Our Stage 2 Pokemon cost energy. And our Stage 1 Pokemon cost energy. So you can have these Pokemon cards, but if you don't have any energy in your deck, you're not going to be able to use any of their attacks. And that way you're going to lose to your opponent almost automatically. So it's very important to have enough energy in your deck that your Pokemon can attack so that you are ready to win. So here's a few different types of energy.
Thanks for coming to the first tips and tricks video. I hope you learned an awful lot about the different types of cards that we have in Pokemon and are maybe ready to go on to our next video to get set up for playing your first game of Pokemon. So thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you thought on social media. Make sure to tag Boise Public Library. And remember, friends, stay safe, stay strong, stay awesome, and we will see you again at School Age Fun. Bye!